to look like there's a group of black women that has attacked Caitlin Clark and her fan base online.
Okay, so a bunch of commentators just went in on Caitlin Clark, like really went in on a live streaming platform, and the things they said, the entire WNBA community is reeling. They didn't hold back, they didn't sugarcoat a thing, and they made it crystal clear how they really feel about her, and honestly, her fans too. The comments were harsh, disrespectful, and yeah, pretty shocking to hear out loud. I mean, are people crossing the line when they attack Caitlin like this? Or is this just part of being a professional athlete in the spotlight? It's a tough question.
I totally agree with that, and I also think that I think that some of the new fans got a rude awakening when they did come to the W, because what happened was their fave was not the best. And so that was their issue. Like, I get that she was the rookie of the year. I understand that. But you're also battling and competing with people like Nafisa Collier, with people like your own teammate Kelsey Mitchell, with other people who, like we've all said, have been here for a while, like the Breanna Stewarts, who have been here. So I'm confused as to why, like Diane Taurasi said, this is a grown woman's game, baby. Yeah. So, but we're gonna change the subject.
So here's the deal. There's this streaming show called Playback, right? They were having a panel discussion, and somehow, the conversation took a hard left turn into Caitlin Clark territory. And these women on the panel, they just tore into her. We're not talking about some mild criticism or, thoughtful analysis. Nah, we're talking straight up attacks on her abilities, her achievements, and even the people who support her. The tone was nasty. The comments were personal, and the whole thing felt less like sports commentary and more like a personal vendetta. It was wild.
You have no motion. You have 131 followers, and you're speaking on CC.
Let's break down exactly what was said, because it's important to understand the context here. One of the panelists brought up how Caitlin's fans came into the WNBA season with these huge expectations, thinking she was gonna immediately be the best player in the entire league, like instant domination. And according to this panelist, those fans got a pretty rude awakening when they realized Caitlin wasn't exactly dominating like they expected. She pointed out that, yeah, Caitlin won Rookie of the Year, sure, but she's competing against established stars. We're talking A'ja Wilson, Breanna Stewart, and even her own teammate, Kelsey Mitchell. The implication was crystal clear. Caitlin isn't as good as her fans think she is, and everyone needs to get a reality check stat.
I think a lot of these old guard WNBA media reporters, old guard WNBA fans is happy as hell. I truly think they happy. The fandom is over. The hype is over. Caitlyn stuff is over. They can go back to normal. Being in a sunk.
And here's the kicker. Then she dropped the line that really got people fired up. She actually quoted Diana Taurasi saying, "This is a grown woman's game." Ouch. The message was obvious, right? Caitlin might have been a superstar in college, but the WNBA is a whole different beast, and she's not automatically special here. She's just another player trying to survive against women who have been doing this for years. It was dismissive, condescending, and clearly meant to put Caitlin and her fans in their place. It was a serious welcome to the WNBA moment, but not in a good way.
I said what I said. You said what you said, huh?
But wait, it gets even worse. After making all these comments about Caitlin not being all that, they tried to quickly change the subject, almost like they knew what they said was gonna cause problems, but didn't care enough to actually defend their position. They said their piece, threw their shots, and then just moved on like it was no big deal. Except, hello, it was a big deal. Because this entire rant got clipped and shared all over social media within hours. The internet doesn't forget, right? The reaction was immediate and intense, like a switch was flipped. Caitlyn's fans were absolutely furious, and rightfully so. They flooded the comment sections, quote tweeted the clips, and called out the panelists for being disrespectful and frankly hateful. And a lot of people pointed out that these same commentators never seemed to have any problem with the WNBA being largely ignored and unpopular before Caitlyn showed up. But now that she's bringing millions of new fans and massive attention to the league, suddenly they want to tear her down and act like she's overrated. The hypocrisy is, honestly, wild. It's like they're mad that the WNBA is finally getting the recognition it deserves, just because it's happening through Caitlyn. And what makes this whole situation even more frustrating is the timing. The WNBA just had its most successful season in history, almost entirely because of Caitlyn Clark. I mean, look at the numbers. Attendance was up. TV ratings were up. Merchandise sales were up. Social media engagement was through the roof. The league made more money this year than it has in decades. And all of that happened because Caitlyn brought mainstream attention to women's basketball. She's the reason millions of people who never cared about the WNBA suddenly started watching games and buying jerseys. But instead of appreciating that, there's this segment of old guard WNBA fans and media members who seem genuinely angry about it. They don't like that Caitlyn gets so much attention. They don't like that new fans are more interested in her than in players who have been in the league for years. They don't like that the narrative around the WNBA has shifted to focus on her instead of the players they prefer. So they take every opportunity to diminish her accomplishments and criticize her. It's like they're trying to gatekeep the league and keep it pure, even if that means sacrificing its growth and success. Let's be real about what's actually happening here, too. Caitlyn Clark is a white player in a predominantly black league, and sadly, some people have a serious problem with her being the face of the WNBA. They think it's unfair that she gets more media coverage than black players who are just as talented, or even more talented. They think it's racist that corporate sponsors and mainstream media gravitate toward her instead of promoting the league's black stars. And honestly, there's some validity to that concern. The WNBA has always had issues with how it markets its black players compared to white players. That's a real problem, and it deserves to be discussed openly and honestly. But here's the thing, attacking Caitlyn personally and trying to tear her down doesn't fix that problem. It just makes the league look petty and dysfunctional. If you want black players to get more recognition, then promote them, hype them up, create compelling content around them, tell their stories. Don't spend all your energy trying to convince people that Caitlyn Clark isn't actually good at basketball, because that's just not true. She is talented, she works hard, and she's earned her spot in the league. You can acknowledge that while also pushing for better representation of other players. It's not an either-or situation. These comments on that playback stream also revealed something else that's been bubbling under the surface all season. A lot of old-school WNBA fans are almost happy that the hype around Caitlyn is starting to die down. The offseason is here, and without games to watch, people aren't talking about the league as much. Social media engagement is dropping, YouTube views on WNBA content are declining, and some people are celebrating that because it means things can go back to normal. They'd rather have a small, loyal fan base that focuses on the players they care about than deal with millions of casual fans who only showed up for Caitlyn. That mindset is absolutely wild when you think about it. The WNBA has spent decades begging for attention, struggling to survive financially, and watching players leave to make more money overseas. Then Caitlyn Clark shows up and brings a level of mainstream popularity the league has never seen before. And instead of embracing that and figuring out how to sustain it, some people are actively rooting for it to fail. They're happy the hype is fading. They want the casuals to leave. They prefer a smaller, less popular league that caters to their specific preferences. It's honestly baffling. Here's the problem with that attitude, though. The WNBA needs money to survive. It needs sponsors, TV deals, ticket sales, and merchandise revenue. All of those things require a large fan base and mainstream popularity. If the league goes back to being a niche product that only hardcore fans care about, it's going to struggle financially again. Players will continue to make terrible salaries and play in less than ideal conditions. The cycle will continue, and all because some people couldn't handle the fact that Caitlyn Clark was bringing attention to the league. It's short-sighted and frankly selfish. There's also the issue of how this looks to potential new fans. Imagine someone who started watching the WNBA because of Caitlyn, right? They see this stream where panelists are trashing her and mocking her fans. What's their reaction going to be? Probably something along the lines of, why would I support a league where the media actively hates the player I came to watch? It's a terrible look for the WNBA and pushes away the exact people the league should be trying to keep engaged. It's like shooting themselves in the foot. And let's talk about the Rookie of the Year argument for a second, because that's something these panelists brought up too. They acknowledged Caitlyn won the award, but then immediately tried to downplay it by saying she's competing against established stars. Well, yeah, that's how professional sports work. Rookies always have to compete against veterans. That doesn't make winning Rookie of the Year less impressive. It actually makes it more impressive, because she was good enough in her first season to stand out among players who have been in the league for years. Caitlyn averaged over 19 points and 8 assists per game in her rookie season. Those are legitimately great numbers for anyone, let alone a first-year player. She led the league in assists, she broke multiple rookie records, she helped turn the Indiana Fever from one of the worst teams in the league into a playoff contender. Those accomplishments don't just disappear because some talking heads on a stream decided to diminish them. It's disrespectful to her hard work and talent. But this is part of a larger pattern of people trying to rewrite the narrative around Caitlyn's rookie season now that it's over. During the season, even her critics had to admit she was playing well because the numbers and the wins spoke for themselves. Now that there's no basketball being played, it's easier to start pushing alternative narratives. She wasn't actually that good. Her fans are delusional. She only got attention because of her race. The other rookies were just as good or better. It's revisionist history, and it's being done deliberately to undercut her accomplishments. The racial aspect of this situation is complicated and uncomfortable, but it needs to be addressed. Yes, Caitlyn benefits from being a white player in terms of media coverage and corporate sponsorships. That's an undeniable reality. The sports media landscape has always favored white athletes, and the WNBA is no exception. Black players who are just as talented don't get the same opportunities, and that's wrong. It's a systemic issue that needs to be addressed at a higher level. But taking that frustration out on Caitlyn herself doesn't solve anything. She didn't create this system, she's just existing within it and doing her job. If the WNBA and its media partners actually wanted to fix the disparity in coverage, they'd make a conscious effort to promote black stars alongside Caitlyn. They'd create storylines and marketing campaigns around players like Aja Wilson, Brianna Stewart, and Sabrina Ionescu. They'd highlight the incredible talent across the entire league instead of putting everything on one person. But that requires work and intentionality, which is apparently too much to ask. It's easier to just attack Caitlyn and her fans instead. It's lazy and unproductive. It's a disservice to the talented black players in the league who deserve just as much recognition. Another thing that's getting lost in all of this is that Caitlyn has been nothing but respectful toward her fellow players and the league. She doesn't talk trash about other people. She doesn't claim to be better than anyone. She shows up, plays hard, and gives credit to her teammates and opponents. She's handled the pressure and scrutiny of being the most famous player in the league with remarkable maturity. And this is how some people choose to treat her in return. It's just not right. The timing of this stream is also suspect, in my opinion. It happened right as the WNBA is dealing with labor negotiations and the possibility of a lockout. The league is in a fragile state right now. This was the perfect moment for everyone to come together and present a united front about wanting to grow the sport and make it better for everyone. Instead, you've got media personalities on streaming platforms creating division and attacking the league's biggest star. It's self-destructive behavior that helps nobody. There's also the question of what these panelists were hoping to accomplish with their comments. Did they think Caitlyn's fans would hear this and suddenly agree that she's overrated? Did they think they were providing valuable insight that nobody else had considered? Or were they just venting their frustrations and enjoying the attention that comes with saying controversial things? Based on how they tried to quickly change the subject after making their comments, it seems like they knew exactly what they were doing. They wanted to get their shots in and move on before facing any real pushback. The whole situation is emblematic of the WNBA's biggest problem, which is that the league consistently undermines itself. They finally have mainstream attention and financial success within reach, and people within the WNBA ecosystem are actively working to sabotage it. Whether it's players taking cheap shots at Caitlyn on the court, media members diminishing her accomplishments in their coverage, or panelists attacking her on streams, there's this weird self-destructive tendency that keeps holding the league back. Fans are tired of it. They're tired of watching the WNBA shoot itself in the foot over and over again. They're tired of the double standards where Caitlyn gets criticized for things other players do without consequence. They're tired of the negativity and the drama and the constant attempts to create controversy where none needs to exist. They just want to watch good basketball and support talented players without all the extra nonsense. Is that really too much to ask? What's sad is that this could have been a moment for growth and progress. The WNBA had momentum, they had new fans, they had financial opportunities, they had a chance to build something sustainable. But instead of capitalizing on that, we're right back to the same old dysfunction and infighting that's plagued the league for years. And a lot of that dysfunction is coming from people who claim to love the WNBA, but can't seem to handle the fact that it's finally becoming popular. So where do you stand on this? Are these panelists out of line for going after Caitlyn like this, or do they have valid points about how the league promotes different players? Let me know in the comments, because this conversation is far from over. And if you want more WNBA coverage and analysis, hit that like button and subscribe so you catch every video. Let's keep this conversation going.